Hi. So Dynamite was last night. I'm recording this late. I've been busy, and then also I got home and I've just kind of been lazy. I'm tired. So yeah, Dynamite was last night. It was great. Really solid card. And a lot to talk about. A lot of stuff that I enjoyed too. So let's start with everything because I like doing this. So the first thing that Dynamite started with this week was the return to the pre-promos, like all the talent. I think it was Hangman, Tony, Max, and I forget who else. And bear in mind, I watched all the Dynamite from 5:30 in the morning. It is now currently 11:30 at night. So I don't get this shit. I love when they do this. I forget what exactly was said. I think it was just Max calling a shot, and Hangman, calling Mark Davis. So, stuff like this. I like stuff like this. Anyway, I liked the one they done for Collision a few weeks back. So if they keep doing this, I would love it. I feel like it has to be something that they always do or not do. You know what I mean? It's weird, but I do like it. And our first match was a match that wasn't announced when I did my preview. It was the Death Riders versus the Don Callis family as a trios match. Death Riders. It was Moxley, Pac, and Garcia versus the Don Callis family, which was Josh Alexander, Konosuke Takeshita, and El Clon. These matches are normally harder for me to break down because I think when they're broken down, it's hard to kind of, describe them. But I feel like what benefited this match hugely was every single, matchup, every single combination in this match worked. Everyone looked great. El Clon and Garcia, for me, show out. I think, not against each other, mind you, but just in general. El Clon's just become one of my favourite guys to watch. I think he's super fun. Takeshita and Moxley is the main thing, obviously. They just, go, I want you in the ring and start going at it. I've never seen a better Collision, future main event of my life than Pac versus El Clon, because Jesus Christ, that moved me. The shit that I adored was the finisher. I'm a big fan of this dual finisher with Garcia and Moxley anyway. I put it up on my TikTok story where it was so Garcia gets the Scorpion Deathlock and Moxley's and then he does, and when Takeshita, because Takeshita was in the Scorpion Deathlock, Takeshita shows up and then Moxley stomps. Oh, it's fucking peak. And that's not even talking about the moments where Moxley's just making a tear for everyone and he just hits this nasty fucking cutter on El Clon. El Clon's brilliant. Him versus Pac, it screams. It's so good in this match, and I want more. I feel like this, honestly, I wouldn't be against that being a pay-per-view match. I think it's sick. And overall, honestly, this match is really fun. Again, quite chaotic, but not as chaotic as they normally are. It's a great opener. And obviously, the Don Callis family get the win. I liked how Takeshita was clearly being the leader. I think that could have been better for Josh Alexander, if they were in that role. But, where he goes, Takeshita goes and against El Clon and Josh Alexander to hold not Jack Perry, because he does it's sacrifice-esque pose. That's why I think it was Perry. It was Garcia, and they hit the burning knee, and then, Raging Fire, and then get the win. Super cool. Really happy with that. Really happy with the result, to be honest. And honestly, it was such a fun match. It really was. Again, the main takeaway for me is, obviously, we're going to get Takeshita and Moxley. That has been confirmed for the belt in Australia. But El Clon versus Pac, bro, I want that match. I want Garcia to face anyone. So him versus, honestly, give me Garcia versus Takeshita. I don't give a fuck. But Pac versus El Clon has to happen, and that'll be a Bobby match if I've ever seen one. Jesus Christ. After this, we actually got Swerve and Nana backstage. Swerve basically confirming that after one loss against Andrade, they ain't going nowhere. Again, he's still on some shit, so, we got more stuff to speak about later. But the big thing that happens after it, for me anyway, it's small, but I think it's a big deal. We got an Ospreay hype package, which, bear in mind, Ospreay's been out since Forbidden Door, which was August last year, so it's been well over 6 months. I'm more than ready for Ospreay to come back. I've missed him every day, and just how good the AEW's roster is. But if this is any indication that, we're on the way back for Will, yeah, let's get it going, because by God, Will's the fucking D. Oh my God, I love Will. I just hope he's okay, but Jesus Christ, I miss Will Ospreay. I miss a hole in the head. That's the wrong, you know what I mean. After this, we actually have another Orange and Tony Storm showcase match, I like to call them. I don't think it's a squash, but it kind of is. Against two jobbers, I don't know the names, they'll be up. Basic, just showing off the dynamic again. And essentially, they win, is what it is. And then after that, Tony basically goes, I can't believe we agreed to this match. And then, Shane, I don't want to be all bald and ugly and stuff. And Luther's right behind it. And it's like, Luther's doing the normal Luther shit. But that was kind of the whole gag. But, I don't know. Tony's the type of woman who'd shave her head, just fucking swerve. Just for a swerve in terms of Utah's not cutting his hair yet. It's going to be Tony. That is the type of woman Tony is. But I don't know. I'm hyped for the match. I feel like you could have got a Utah Marina thing here, but not really. So I don't get it. But fine. Just another showcase match. I feel like we know what Orange and Tony are like. It felt a bit not wasted, mind you. But either way, I feel like it was fine. It was fine. So after this, we actually got Darby Allin. Darby Allin little vignette with what happened to him when he was entering the arena tonight. Clark Connors jumped him, along with Gabe Kidd, and they proceeded to kidnap Darby and put him in a damn boot of the car and drive off. Normal for Gabe Kidd. I don't know why I don't want to waste too much time on why we're still doing Gabe Kidd versus Darby, but whatever. That is a thing, and we'll come back to that later, definitely. After this, we actually got a Hangman Page match versus Mark Davis. Mark Davis obviously going on the singles after Jake Something got injured. This match banged. I really enjoyed this match. I thought Hangman looked really good. I thought they give it a bit too much time. I feel like they could have ended it about maybe not 5, like a minute or two early. It doesn't sound like much, but it felt like it. I liked it. I liked the match. I feel like Hangman and Davis had not the greatest chemistry, but you could tell they were both pros. I mean, the buckshots, the dead eyes, stuff like this, you know what I mean? Like, they were always teased and stuff like that. I feel like Davis's weight and the strikes he was hitting, Davis looks better and better each week, and he's fighting with some real, not desperation, but with more oomph, you know what I mean? And again, it was not enough to win. Hangman obviously does get the win, but I don't know, it feels like Hangman, again, I said this a couple of weeks ago, Hangman is becoming a bit like the Bucks, where you know what Hangman's matches are going to be, but I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I just feel like with Hangman at the minute, they just gave him the match for okay, here, damn. Instead of, I don't know that they could have built it, but it feels like Mark Davis just got this out of nowhere, and I know circumstances are a bit wild, but you could have someone a bit different, maybe, I don't know, you could have I don't know, it just felt a bit weird. But I'm not complaining. The match was good. I've got to specify that. Davis looked great, but Hangman steals the show, obviously, buckshots and stuff. After the match, Hangman gets the mic and starts calling out everyone, wishes Kenny luck for his match against Andrade later. And then obviously says, Max, you son of a bitch, calls Max out and then just leaves. Nothing really crazy, just basically just to have Hangman on the show. I think it was more to the kind of just convey, okay, Hangman has earned his space instead of just being there, but whatever, it's fine. Who's going to complain about Hangman having that belt? He even says he should be getting that belt back, that he never should have lost. True. So, that's always fun. After this, we got a Kevin Knight hype package, which is just going over, Kevin Knight's not just a futurist now. I've been saying this for a while. Damn straight. Let's get some Kevin Knight up and going. AJ Styles versus Kevin Knight is going to be the biggest Passion of the Torch match I've ever seen. And after that, we get one of just straight heat. We got Kenny Omega versus Andrade for the match against Hangman at Australia next week for #1 contender. This match fucked. This match was incredible. Kenny looked great. Andrade's just a fucking demon, bro. He's just the main eventer, and I cannot believe how good he is. Just each week it's getting better. They upped the spot with the girls outside the ring. He's got they were all apparently adult film stars, which is funny as hell. They're all going wild. He comes out with the shirt on, a shitty 2000 style graphic shirt, and then he's giving Don Callis hugs and stuff. Then Kenny's going over, and just constant takes the shirt off eventually. It's just Andrade's charisma for me is what gets him at the minute, and it feels like it's not a generic, I'm not trying to throw shade. I feel like a lot of Mexican wrestlers do try and do the Eddie Guerrero stuff, that type of archetype. And there's nothing wrong with that. but a lot of them don't really have, not the in-ring, because a lot of Mexican wrestlers are great just because Lucha's so good and so widespread there. Just more, they don't have the chops to pull it off, and I think Andrade has one of the few, and I think everyone's been enthralled with how good Andrade's been. He's just locked the fuck in and just become the guy everyone's wanted him to be. Just more, the back elbows, that one where Kenny goes for the V-trigger, and he does the back elbow. Jesus, it's incredible. Kenny looks psychotic at points in this match. He goes for the one-wing angel off the top turnbuckle like it's nothing, and Andrade reverses it. It's a great match. It's such a good match. Andrade keeps getting desperate, and then Don goes up and gives him the screwdriver. And Andrade has the screwdriver, and he's about to use it. And then, out of nowhere, Swerve comes out. And Swerve grabs the screwdriver off him. And, like, tells, Aubrey, I think it was Aubrey who's the ref, and he was like, I'm telling you, getting the thingy off him. And Swerve stands behind Kenny. Behind the ref, and while Swerve's arguing with the ref. And Andrade hits the low blow on Kenny, forcing Andrade to get the win via Swerve's distraction. Kenny's pissed. Kenny's absolutely pissed. And deservedly so. He flips it Swerve. Swerve flips it Andrade. Andrade and Swerve building a little feud's great. But after the match, Kenny and Swerve start pushing each other. And, building a feud that they've been building for a few weeks. I thought Hangman was going to come out. That would have been fun. But, have him team with Kenny again, to be like against Swerve, like, look, we had an alliance, but I fucking hate you still. Don't beat my friend up. But the security break it up. It's definitely going to lead to a match eventually, probably at Australia. Maybe not Australia, but, Revolution. And then, honestly, with Andrade, I cannot believe they give him the win, and I'm so happy that they did. Because if this leads to either, Andrade versus Hangman's just going to fuck anyway, but then Andrade versus MJF feud, you all know how much I want that. I love that feud. I love that their interactions online. I want this. And either way, the match was brilliant. I've undersold this match because it is late. But Jesus Christ, what a match. Watch it, because everything Andrade's done since he's come back this year has just been straight incredible. And it's against Kenny. It's always going to be incredible. Kenny looked great here. Obviously, Kenny looks great. But it's just, I feel like, I don't want to say Kenny doesn't steal the show, because he does. But I mean, Jesus, it is Andrade. It's about Andrade, this match. And that's fine. It's just, I want to talk. Andrade's the more interesting topic here. Like, you know what you're getting with Kenny. Kenny still looked great. The greatest he's looked in ages. But, like, again, it's just Andrade. It's such a quick-paced match, too. And I feel like that's what I liked about it. Just watch it. It's such a good match. To me, it should have been the main event. But, obviously, we get why it's not the main event. But, another topic. So, after this, we get a small Brody King hype package. Just highlighting, who Brody fucking King is before his main event tonight against Max. Then we get Statlander backstage, where Statlander is talking about her and Tekla have another match next week for the title, which I'm happy about, more than happy about. And then she basically gets asked for a stip, and she goes, look, Tekla, if you're a good girl, Stat Daddy will give you the stip on Collision. That's it, really. Just watch Collision for Statlander to give Tekla the stipulation for their match. Street fight, cage, I do not give a fuck. Just get the match going. I can't wait. And after that, we actually got the Babes of Wrath versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. They've actually got a tag name now, Megabad. I'm not calling them fucking Megabad, but whatever. This is one of the better matches of the women's tag division. I've been very critical of it, but it was one of the better ones. You got Penelope and Megan are just what the division needs. They've got actual chemistry. Not that Willow and Harley don't, but there's a lot more with Megan and Penelope, where, like, I feel like a lot of the Babes of Wrath's tag stuff is purely, like, Harley takes a lot of damage, Willow's the hot tag, and then Willow will use Harley as a weapon. Like, she'll sit on Willow while they do a joint powerbomb, and I don't fucking know. But you've also, Harley's improving. I'll never deny Harley's improvement, but I just feel like against Megan Bayne, against Penelope, the character work, the athleticism, everything about the chemistry, it's just always there. They just looked the superior tag team, and it was much more engaging. It was. I didn't expect. Again, I've been critical of the women's tag, and it's like, especially the Babes of Wrath, unfortunately. But it's also been like, okay, what am I? Let's look how we're gonna get on with this. I was thinking, okay, this match is gonna be a bit boring. It actually quite hooked me. Megan Bayne again is just so fucking good. But the match was fine. The match introduced, like, they should have the belts. Megan and Penelope should have the belts. It's the only way this division's going to rise. And Willow having the TNT, you know, it works. And I think Harley's funny as a singles act anyway. So I feel like it's got to be the call sooner rather than later. And yeah, it's definitely the right call. Megan and Penelope actually get the win, which was, you know, not a shock, because it was, I didn't know it was an eliminator match. They didn't announce this before Dynamite either. So, before I did my video. So, I thought, you know, they're not going to win. It's for the belts, but it's an eliminator. I'm happy that they won. And they kind of put over on commentary, not a lot of people win the eliminator matches. Okay, Tony, what's our main event? But honestly, just give Megan and Penelope the tag titles. It just makes the most sense. And the match wasn't the greatest by any means, but compared to the Sisters of Sin matches they had last week, it's much better. It really is. It just needs more people in the division, but in-ring wise, it was much better this week. It's definitely on the right track. So, after that, we actually get a recap of Tommaso Ciampa and Briscoe, their match on Saturday where Ciampa won the TNT belt, where we see Ciampa backstage with the TNT belt, talking about the belt like it's his new child, saying his baby daughter has a new best friend with Sylvie, I think he calls it, and just confirms the open challenge for Collision. They confirm that with just one of the most insane Ring of Honor flashback matches possibly ever. Three-way match with him, Roddy, and Claudio. Jesus fucking Christ. But I'll talk about that in the predictions video. And then after that, we actually get our national title match between Ricochet and Jack Perry. This match was great. I mean, Ricochet's character work, athleticism, everything about it's just great. I mean, I love these two's chemistry anyway. I've loved how it's been built for a few weeks now. But I really enjoyed this. I feel like it got chaotic towards the end, but even in ring, I mean, you know what's going to happen with these two, right? Like, Ricochet got a lot more cocky here. Like, in terms of he was more dominant than he normally is. But then, obviously, Perry makes the comeback, and then the GOA get involved. Once the GOA involved, you know what's going to happen. But what was cool was the Bucks come out. And when the Bucks come out, it goes, oh my God. So you're thinking, oh my God, is Perry going to win? The Bucks come out, save Perry from getting destroyed by the GOA. And then they still have Ricochet win. So it was a bit weird. It was a bit weird. And it was also like, you're watching it and you're like, okay, so we know what's going to happen on Collision now. We know if in this, the Bucks is going to be facing GOA. They are. But then also, like, I don't know, I feel like that was the right time to give it to Jack. I do. I feel like that was the right time. Just, not I'm wrong with it. I just felt like you could have had Ricochet pick it back up. You could, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like that was the call. That should have been the right call. Not that the match was fine. Got no problem with Ricochet holding the belt. You know, it probably benefits his character more than Perry's. But I don't know. I just feel like that was a better call for me. I've enjoyed this. Hopefully it leads to another match, because there's no way this feels done. They'll probably do weeks of like a trios match in Australia to get the Bucks on there. So it makes the most sense. But, I mean, Ricochet's so good. Jack Perry's so good. You know what you're getting. Ricochet pulling the hair, being jealous of the hair, stuff like that. But, yeah, honestly, fine match. Just another one between these two. I enjoyed them. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're the best things in the world, but I do enjoy their matches. They're both so athletic. But I just felt it was a bit odd that they had the Bucks save him to then Ricochet still win instead of like a DQ. Like, you know, just to set up the match on Collision. They could have just done that anyway. But, I don't know. It just felt a bit weird. But, honestly, super good match. Super sound. Super just solid. You know what I mean? Not dissimilar to what they had previously, but not bad. Definitely not bad. Cannot say it was bad, because it wasn't. It was very good. Very good match. And I hope it's not their last, because I've enjoyed it, and I hope to see more. Because Perry's a great call for that national belt. It makes the most sense. If you're not doing nothing with Ricochet with it, just, you know, either drop it completely, which, honestly, they should at this point. It sounds wild to say, but they should. But also, Perry's a good call to hold that if you wanted to get on the indies. Perry will do that. Not that Ricochet won't, but Perry definitely will. So, I think there's more to that. So, after this, we actually got the continuation of Darby and Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors' entire little vignette, where they're out in the desert driving the car, where Darby is in a body bag getting dragged by the car. It was 100% Darby in there, even before they opened it. You know that shit's Darby Allin. Then Gabe, it's just weird. They're trying to be the Joker from The Dark Knight. I don't like it. And then, like, he goes, cut that cord, and then they cut the cord and drive off. It's like, what? Like, I just don't get, again, I just don't know what we're doing with Gabe and Darby. It feels a bit weird. It feels a bit too dragged on now with Darby. We've got nothing going on for him. There's no shame in admitting it, and just, Clark Connors I like. He seems pretty good. Gabe Kidd I'm just not into. He's trying too hard for me, and I just can't buy it. But, I don't know, maybe give it time. I like how it was shot, in the sense of, it was handheld. It was a bit unique, but still just, it's nothing original to it, you know what I mean? It sounds stupid, not being unique, but not being original. It's weird to say, but that's how I feel. But then after that, we got the 1.5 hour classic between Brody King and MJF. I fucking love how they handled this. This was a title eliminator. I love how everything happens in here, obviously, the way it's all shot. So the main thing before the match actually starts is, I really wanted to point this out, is the crowd just starts screaming fuck ice, which obviously Brody King has history with the Abolish Ice shirt. I adore that. Yeah, and even Max has become like it's went mainstream. Like I've seen NBC News talking about it. Like a lot of people talk about it. It's really cool to see. You know, it's getting mainstream coverage. But also, you know, even regardless, you know, I don't want to get like you talk about my feelings and opinions and stuff. Obviously, I think it's obvious where I stand. But then also, it's just kind of nice to have that, you know, that crowd to just recognize Brody from that. Just gives them a bit more of a, oh shit, so we know who you are, Brody, you know what I mean? I don't know why, I thought that was a nice little angle to go from it. But the match starts, and then Max is clearly scared before the match even gets going. And then Hangman's music hits, and I was like, what the fuck? And like Brody locks the fuck in when they're chanting fuck ice, by the way, it was sick. And then Max goes to the ring, goes, Hangman, get out of there, Max, and Hangman's just screaming at him, like, turn around. And then turns around, and Brody's there, and Brody just gets the lock on him straight away, like he did previously. People are comparing it to Gunn, fair enough, but Brody's been doing it for years. And Max just goes limp straight away, flaps out. That Brody throws him in the ring, power bombs him, gets the pin, and beats Max in literally a minute and 20 seconds. It was nuts. Obviously, Hangman interfered. I adore how they handled this. I feel like a lot of people can complain. They made the world champ look weak. It's MJF, he's chicken shit. It's supposed to always be. Honestly, it's an eliminator. You can't. It's a weird situation where you got to have someone who's not in the main event scene consistently win against your world champ, and dominant one at that. So it makes sense how they handled it. I really liked how they handled it. I love just everything about this. I thought it was very unique. I really did. I thought it feels like an iconic Dynamite moment that you're going to talk about in like in the next 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, God, do you remember when Brody choked out Max for the title in a minute? Like, that was sick. It feels like such a different vibe with MJF's title reign so far, and I love that. So Brody gets the title match, obviously, at Australia. That's going to be great. A true match. There's an obvious prediction, but I'll want to talk about that in a separate video, probably. And then, after that, obviously, so Hangman's out smiling. He's made up. Brody's celebrating, holding the belt. Such a cool visual. And then after that, it was fucking Andrade's music. And Andrade comes out and tries to attack Brody. Then Hangman comes out, tries to attack Andrade. And then MJF comes out. And then Hangman attacks MJF with the belt and stuff. So, you know, it was just a little four-way scuffle, you know. Everyone getting the finishing in, fucking teasing the match at Australia. That's how Dynamite ends. But it just, I love how stacked this main event division is. I love how they handled this match. Just, it's a unique way to get Brody the win. And it puts him over, it puts him out. It's great. It's such a great moment. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed Dynamite. But I really enjoyed this ending. It was brilliant. It really was. I thought, people will go, oh, it wasn't a technical match. And yeah, I want a match between Brody and Max. And I'm going to get that at Australia. But also, it's memorable, and I feel like that's what I appreciate. It's a very memorable moment, and that's what I'm really happy about. It was a hype moment and an aura. Fuck off. So yeah, that was Dynamite this week. I thought a lot of it was good. I thought a lot of stuff went on for a bit too long, and they could have cut some stuff, like having 2 Darby and Gabe promos. I think anyone's engaged with that. I feel like, honestly, the Tony and Cassidy match wasn't really needed, because it felt it just needed to be a backstage promo. It just felt like stuff, you know, didn't need to go on for that long, frankly. I don't think it did. But it wasn't a bad Dynamite at all. The matches were great. I mean, Andrade, Kenny, Jesus Christ. And then that opening match with the Death Riders versus the Don Callis family is phenomenal. And, you know, even Perry versus Ricochet, even though I've seen it before, it's great. I feel like, one, we're missing... Frankly, I think we're missing women's singles matches. I don't know, again, why you haven't got Athena or someone else coming up. So I think this is more than opportune time to make your mid-card for the women's scene, because we had a point where it was great, and now it's just kind of non-existent. So that's kind of shitty. But in general, it was solid. I feel like there's definitely some way. It wasn't a weak Dynamite, but I feel like from last week's was phenomenal, and next week's looking to be it's Grand Slam. It's basically a pay-per-view. So it's not good. It's going to be a sandwich. It's hard. It's building, but it's hard to describe. It's hard to articulate. I will say, however, getting that Ospreay little hype package gets me very excited. I thought that done more than I thought it would, and a lot of questions, again, the biggest question is, where the hell's Bandido? I'm missing that man like a motherfucker. But Ospreay hype package, that's enough to keep me going for a solid month, never mind week. So yeah, what did you all think of Dynamite? Again, apologies for late upload. I'm tired. That's probably why I've rushed this one. I apologize. But what did you think? And what did you think of Andrade vs Kenny? Are you surprised they gave him the win? Because I sure as hell am. Because I thought that shit was fucking nuts. And I'm so happy about it. Australia is going to be phenomenal.